Hello, children. Welcome to Jatin Academy. Today, we are going to begin Chapter 6 Materials Around Us. Have you ever wondered what everything around you is made of? Why do some things shine, some dissolve in water, and some don't? Today, we will understand the answers to these interesting questions in a very simple way. The summer holidays were over, and it was the first day of school. Ghulam and Sheeta were very excited. As soon as they entered their new classroom, they started looking around and talking. Smiling, Sheeta asked, "What did you bring to school today?" Ghulam quickly replied, "Look, I have a new notebook." Not wanting to stay behind, Sheeta said, "I also have a new notebook and a pen too." Both of them were so happy showing their things as if they had found a treasure. Honestly, tell me, when you get a new notebook, what do you do first? Keep the first page clean or start drawing on it? After some time, their science teacher, Madam Vidya, enters the class. Instead of starting the lesson immediately, she begins talking to the students. She asks, "The things you use every day, have you ever thought about how they are different from each other?" The class becomes a little quiet. Then she continues, "What is their shape? What is their color? How do they feel when you touch them? Are some things heavy and some light?" Now the students start enjoying it because these questions are not from a book, they are connected to their daily life. Madam explains that everything around us is made of some material like paper, wood, cloth, glass, metal, plastic, clay, and many more. In simple words, the substance from which an object is made is called a material. Now look around you. What is the table made of? Probably wood or metal. The chair could be plastic or wood. A water bottle may be plastic or steel. A book is made of paper. A pencil has wood and graphite. And yes, a mobile phone. It's a complete combo pack. Plastic, metal, and glass. Truly, a mobile phone is like a mini science lab. So now you understand that different objects are made from different materials, and that's why they look, feel, and weigh differently. But do you know, humans didn't start using materials recently? They have been using them for thousands of years. In India, the oldest pottery was made about 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. At that time, people made utensils from clay. Gradually, they learned to use the wheel, create designs, and make stronger pots. In the Indus-Saraswati civilization, pottery had become an art. Red-colored pots were decorated with black designs and animal figures. The clay was first cleaned, then kneaded, shaped on a wheel, and finally baked in a kiln. After baking, it became terracotta, which is very strong. These pots were used for cooking and storing grains, oil, and ghee. Now Ghulam and Sheeta were sitting in their class, and today's topic was how to group materials. Sheeta softly asked, "Ghulam, there are so many objects, how will we remember them?" Ghulam replied, "It's simple. If we group them, it becomes easy." Just then, Madam Vidya smiles and says, "Exactly right. Today we will learn how to group things." She gives an activity. Take some objects and group them based on the material they are made of. The students get to work. After some time, answers come in. Spoon, coin, and key are metal objects. Bottle, chair, and toys are plastic. Table, pencil, and door are wooden. Glass and window panes are made of glass. Eraser and rubber bands are made of rubber. Sheeta happily says, "Ma'am, this was very easy." Madam laughs and says, "This is just the beginning. The real fun starts now." She asks, "Did everyone group the objects in the same way?" Ghulam replies, "No ma'am, some students grouped them by color, like red and blue objects, some by shape, round and square, and some by hardness or shine." Madam explains, "That's the important point. The same object can be grouped in different ways. This is called classification. That means arranging things based on a common property is called classification. And honestly, if your books, clothes, and toys are all mixed up, how difficult would it be to find anything? That's why grouping makes life easier." Now Madam asks another question. "If you have to make a tumbler, which material will you use?" Sheeta quickly says, "Glass." Ghulam adds, "Plastic or steel can also be used." Madam nods and says, "Correct. But can we make a tumbler from paper to cook?" The whole class says together, "No, ma'am, it will burn." Madam laughs and asks, "And can a cloth tumbler hold water?" Ghulam quickly says, "No, it will absorb the water." The class bursts into laughter. Madam explains, for every object, the material is chosen based on its properties. For example, to store water, we need a material that can hold water. Now she asks an interesting question. Can you play tennis with a cricket ball? Sheeta laughs and says, "No, ma'am, if we play tennis with a cricket ball, we will run away instead of the opponent." Madam says, "Exactly, because every sport requires different properties like weight, hardness, and bounce." She gives different balls to the students and asks them to drop them and see which one bounces the most. After some time, students excitedly say, "Ma'am, the tennis ball and rubber ball bounce the most." Madam explains, that's why different materials are used in different sports. Every game has its own requirements. Now the students understood that choosing materials is not random, it is done carefully. Madam continues, we can also group materials based on shape, color, and type. She gives a real-life example. Look at your kitchen. Similar utensils are kept together. In a grocery shop, spices and grains are kept separately. In a chemist's shop, medicines are arranged in categories. Ghulam softly says, that means grouping is used everywhere. Madam smiles and says, exactly, that is science, understanding things and arranging them properly. Properties of materials, which means the special characteristics of things. As soon as Madam Vidya enters the class, she shows a piece of wood and an iron rod. She asks, look at these. Do they look the same? Sheeta immediately says, no ma'am, wood looks different and iron looks different. Madam smiles and says, exactly, every material has its own appearance, that is, how it looks. Then she gives the students a challenge. Collect some objects like paper, wood, chalk, aluminium foil, copper wire and observe carefully which ones shine. Ghulam excitedly says, ma'am, the aluminium foil and copper wire are shining. Madam explains, materials that have shine are called lustrous. These are mostly metals like iron, copper, aluminium and gold. Then she adds a fun line, but remember, not everything that shines is gold. The whole class bursts into laughter. Madam also laughs and says, then you'll need even more practice. Madam continues, some materials become dull over time because air and moisture reduce their shine. Then she asks, do paper or wood shine? The students reply together, no. Madam says, such materials are called non-lustrous. Now comes the next question. What are hard and soft materials? Madam shows a stone and an eraser. If you press them, what difference will you see? Sheeta says, the stone won't be pressed, but the eraser will get pressed easily. Madam explains, that's the difference. Materials that can be pressed or scratched easily are soft, and those that cannot be pressed easily are hard. Ghulam jokes, ma'am, what if the exam is hard and the student becomes soft? The whole class bursts into laughter again. Madam also laughs and says, then you'll need even more practice. She further explains, hardness and softness are relative. For example, rubber is harder than a sponge but softer than iron. Now the students start touching different objects. Brick is hard, pillow is soft, table is hard, sweater is soft. Madam adds, materials also have other properties like rough or smooth, soluble or insoluble, flute or sink. Now the story becomes even more fun. Ghulam, Sheeta and Sara are playing hide and seek. Ghulam hides behind a wall, Sheeta behind a tree, and Sara behind frosted glass. Sheeta's younger brother is watching everything through a window. Madam asks, can you figure out who is hiding behind which material? Then she explains, materials through which we can see clearly are called transparent, like glass, water, and air. Materials through which we can see not at all are called opaque, like wood and metal. And materials through which we can see but not clearly are called translucent, like frosted glass or butter paper. Sheeta laughs and says, so if we want to hide properly, we should hide behind opaque objects. Madam replies, exactly. Science works even in hide and seek. Then the students are given some objects, glass tumbler, butter paper, eraser, wooden board. They classify them. Glass tumbler is transparent, butter paper is translucent, and eraser and wooden board are opaque. Now all the students clearly understand that materials have different properties like appearance, hardness, and transparency. In the evening, after playing, when Gulam came home, he was completely sweaty, tired, and thirsty. His mother quickly made a cool glass of shikanji by mixing water, sugar, a little salt, and lemon juice. As Gulam started drinking it, he noticed something interesting. He saw that the sugar and salt had disappeared after being added to the water. Surprised, Gulam asked his mother, "Mom, where did the sugar and salt go?" His mother smiled and said, they haven't disappeared, they have dissolved in the water. And from here begins our next concept, soluble and insoluble materials. The next day in class, Madam Vidya gives the students an activity. She says, let's find out which substances dissolve in water. The children bring sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand, and sawdust and add them to different glasses of water. After some time, they observe, sugar and salt completely dissolve in water, but chalk powder and sand settle at the bottom, and sawdust floats on the surface, as if it's swimming. Gulam jokes, ma'am, sawdust is sitting on water like a VIP guest. The whole class bursts at laughter. Madam explains, substances that dissolve completely in water are called soluble, like sugar and salt, and those that do not dissolve are called insoluble, like sand, chalk powder, and sawdust. Then she adds an important point. Water is very important for our body because it can dissolve many substances. She also tells them about ORS. If the body gets dehydrated, we can prepare ORS by mixing water, sugar, and salt. Gulam softly says, so my mom's shikanji is like a mini ORS. Madam laughs and says, exactly right. Now she asks another question. Do oil or honey dissolve in water? Sheeta thinks and says, no ma'am, oil floats on water. Madam explains, correct. Some liquids mix with water while others form a separate layer. Then she shares an interesting fact. Some gases also dissolved in water, like oxygen. This dissolved oxygen helps aquatic plants and animals to survive. Now the next part of the lesson begins. Heavy and light objects. Madam takes 3 cups, one filled with water, one with sand, and one with pebbles. She asks, which cup will be the heaviest? Gulam quickly answers, the one with pebbles. Sheeta adds, then sand, and the lightest will be water. When they check using a balance, the answer turns out to be correct. Madam explains, whether an object is heavy or light depends on its mass. The object with more mass is heavier and the one with less mass is lighter. Gulam laughs and says, so my school bag is heavy because it has more mass, not because I'm weak. The whole class laughs. Madam smiles and says, yes, but if you have less homework, your bag will become lighter too. The next day, something unusual happened in class. As soon as Madam Vidya entered, she said, everyone, keep your bags on your seats and sit down. The students place their bags, but no one is able to sit. Gulam, a bit confused, says, ma'am, how can we sit? The bags have taken all the space. Madam smiles and says, that is exactly today's lesson. She explains, every object occupies space. When your bag took up space, there was no space left for you to sit. Now, Madam brings 2 glass tumblers of the same size and asks 2 students to pour water from their bottles into them. One glass fills halfway, while the other almost fills completely. Sheeta asks in surprise, ma'am, both glasses are the same, then why does the water look different? Madam explains, because the quantity of water is different. The glass with more water occupies more space. This space is called volume. Gulam quickly says, oh, that's why bottles have 500 ml or 1 liter written on them. Madam happily says, exactly, that tells us the volume of liquid inside. Now she introduces a bigger concept, mass and volume. She explains that every material has two common properties. It occupies space and it has mass. Mass tells us how much matter is present in an object, and volume tells us how much space it occupies. Ghulam jokes, so my school bag is heavy because it has more mass and it also occupies more space. That's why I don't have space to sit. The whole class laughs again. Now Madam gives the most important definition. Anything that occupies space and has mass is called matter. Sheeta asks, Ma'am, is air also matter? Madam replies, yes, air also occupies space and has mass, so it is matter too. Now the students understand that everything around them, water, air, books, bags, is matter. Madam further explains that mass is measured in kilograms or grams and volume is measured in liters or milliliters. She then adds, we group things so that we can understand them easily. Just like in a kitchen, utensils are kept together, and in a grocery shop, items are arranged separately. Ghulam says, that means grouping is useful not only in science but in daily life too. Madam replies, exactly, science is a part of our daily life. Then she brings up an interesting topic. Is the invention of plastic a boon or a bane? Sheeta says, Ma'am, it has made life easier, but it has also increased pollution. Madam nods, exactly, that's something to think about. She also tells them that even in ancient times, people classified materials. In Ayurveda, materials were described based on 20 properties like heavy, light, hot, cold, soft, hard, smooth, rough. Ghulam softly says, that means science is very old. We are just learning it in a new way. Madam smiles and says, well said. So children, today we learnt that everything occupies space and has mass, and that is why it is called matter. Next time when you place your bag on your seat, remember, it's not just a bag, it's a live example of science. So children, today we learnt that everything is made of some material and every material has its own special properties. Now whenever you see any object, always think, what is it made of and why? See you in the next chapter. Until then, keep learning and keep exploring.